The first snowfall of winter arrived on the night of Xue Lan's wedding. Snowflakes melted upon her trembling fingers, vanishing as quickly as the dreams she once held. Beneath the heavy crimson veil, her breath was shallow, her heart unsteady. She was never meant to wear this gown, never meant to be the bride of the most feared man in the empire. The Xue family had 2 daughters, as different as night and day. Xue Rong, the elder sister, was a woman of fire, bold, intelligent, and dazzling in both beauty and wit. She was the jewel of the Xue family, the daughter whom everyone admired. It was said that she could command a room with a single glance, that even the emperor himself had been captivated by her spirit. Xue Lan, the younger sister, was the quiet one. Gentle, soft-spoken, and often overlooked, she walked in her sister's shadow, content with a peace of anonymity. While Xue Rong was destined for greatness, Xue Lan had always believed she was destined for nothing more than a simple life, far away from the intrigues of the palace. It had been decided since childhood that Xue Rong would marry Emperor Liang Zhen. The engagement was a political one, yet the bond between them had grown naturally over time. The emperor admired Xue Rong's brilliance and strength, seeing in her a partner who could match his ambitions. Though duty had brought them together, there was love that was supposed to lead them to the throne, hand in hand. But Xue Rong had never desired the throne. To her, the palace was a gilded cage, a place where love was sacrificed for duty. In secret, she had given her heart to another, a man far removed from power and politics. And on the eve of her wedding, she fled with him, leaving nothing behind except a hastily scribbled note and a shattered future. Xue Lan, you must take her place. Her father's voice had been firm, unyielding. If the emperor learns that Rong has betrayed him, our family will be executed to the last child. And so, she obeyed. The golden palace doors opened before her. Lanterns flickered, their light casting wavering shadows on the towering pillars. Court officials and noblewomen whispered behind their embroidered sleeves, but none dared to voice their doubts. The emperor sat upon the dragon throne, his expression unreadable. Liang Zhen was a man known for his iron rule, his heart carved from ice. He had risen to the throne through blood and fire, and his name alone sent enemies into submission. He stepped forward, his golden robe flowing like liquid sunlight. Xue Lan's knees buckled, but she steadied herself, bowing deeply. Her fate was sealed. He lifted her veil, and silence engulfed the hall. His gaze, sharp as a blade, settled on her. You are not Xue Rong. Her breath caught in her throat. I am her younger sister, Your Majesty. The silence stretched, an unbearable weight pressing upon her. Finally, he spoke. A substitute bride. His voice was low, dangerous. You think I would not notice? The court tensed. Xue Lan clenched her hands, her nails digging into her palms. I know I have deceived Your Majesty, she whispered, forcing her voice to remain steady. But I did so to protect my family. I do not ask for your forgiveness, only that you spare them. Liang Zhen's lips curled into a humorless smile. How noble. The wedding proceeded, but it was an empty ceremony. He did not touch her that night. Instead, he left her alone in the vast, cold chambers of the Empress's quarters. The red candles burned until dawn, their wax pooling like blood upon the silk tablecloth. Days passed in suffocating silence. The emperor did not visit her, nor did he acknowledge her in court. The palace whispered that she was a discarded pawn, a mere shadow of the woman he had once longed for. And yet, Xue Lan did not crumble. She spent her days in quiet resilience, tending to the neglected gardens, helping the palace servants with their duties. Slowly, the people around her changed their whispers, from mockery to reluctant admiration. The cold palace, long filled with tension, softened at her touch. One evening, as she sat beneath the plum blossoms, a shadow loomed over her. "You are unlike your sister." She turned, startled. Liang Zhen stood behind her, his imperial robes flowing like ink against the pale petals. His gaze was unreadable, but something in it had changed. Less ice, more curiosity. "She was like fire," he continued, dazzling, untouchable. "You are quiet, like falling snow." Xue Lan lowered her gaze. "Snow may seem soft, Your Majesty, but it can bury mountains if it falls long enough." A flicker of amusement crossed his face. For the first time, he did not leave. Winter melted into spring. The Emperor, against all expectations, began to seek her company. He would find her in the gardens, in the library, even during court banquets. At first, it was mere curiosity, but soon, his visits became more frequent, his eyes lingering on her longer than they should. She challenged him in ways he did not expect. Where others bowed, she stood firm. Where others feared him, she met his gaze. Yet, she did not demand his love, nor did she resent him for the coldness of their beginning. Perhaps that was what drew him to her most of all. One evening, as they stood by the lotus pond, he spoke. "If I had known it was you from the beginning, would you have still married me?" Xue Lan hesitated. "If it could save my family, then yes." He studied her, his expression unreadable. "And if you had a choice?" She turned to face him, her voice barely above a whisper. "I never had a choice, Your Majesty." His fingers brushed against hers. A fleeting touch, but it sent a tremor through her heart. But happiness in the palace was as fleeting as cherry blossoms in the wind. The day his first love returned, dressed in sorrow and betrayal, was the day Xue Lan's fragile world shattered. Xue Rong had been found, and she was with child. The court was thrown into chaos. Ministers pleaded for the emperor to take Xue Rong back, to honor the original engagement. The nobles whispered of annulment, of discarding the substitute for the rightful bride. That night, Liang Zhen came to her chambers, his face shadowed with conflict. "Tell me," he said softly, "if I send you away, will you hate me?" Xue Lan's heart ached, but she smiled, a quiet, graceful smile, the kind only a woman who had already accepted her fate could give. "No, Your Majesty, I will only mourn what could have been." His hand clenched at his side. "I do not wish to let you go." "Then don't." But the empire did not belong to them alone. Days later, a decree was issued. Xue Lan was to leave the palace, granted the title of Princess Dowager in name only. A life of luxury, but in exile. The emperor had chosen duty over love. On the day of her departure, snow fell once more. As her carriage passed through the palace gates, she did not look back. But Liang Zhen watched from the highest tower, his fingers gripping the railing so tightly his knuckles turned white. His breath came in ragged, uneven bursts, but he refused to call out her name. For the first time in his life, he had won everything and lost the only thing that mattered. In the end, Xue Lan's journey was not one of love or victory, but of sacrifice and acceptance. She had given up her own dreams to protect her family, only to find herself caught between the cold duties of an empire and the fragile hopes of her heart. Her story serves as a reminder that love is not always enough to change fate, and that the choices we make, however noble, may lead us down paths of loss we can never undo. The emperor's heart, though powerful, was not immune to the weight of duty, and in his pursuit of the throne, he lost the one person who could have shown him the warmth of true affection. Sometimes, the greatest strength lies not in what we hold on to, but in what we are willing to let go.